I used to make a joke that every time, well, it's not really a joke. Every time I would get a divorce, I would live at the Sunset Marquis, which was pretty often. So.
How many times did you live there?
3 or 4.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton's had many reasons to want to hide away in his life. First of all, he's a shy man. He loves to tell stories, but doesn't love the spotlight. Second, he's strange. He's done things in the public eye that became headlines that follow him today. Third, he's had many relationships. Not all of them have ended well. One was an odd match, but didn't seem ill-fated. It felt like it could go all the way. Keep watching, though, as Billy Bob Thornton confirms why he divorced Angelina Jolie. Billy Bob's previous wives. Hollywood tends to be a world of quick, easy relationships. Billy even plays characters who have plenty of them, or at least make comments that suggest they want them. But he's always searched for something more. He seems to dream of a permanent, loving wife. He'd rather put a ring on it and try to achieve that dream than go around and find every woman he can. Billy says, in his own words, quote, "I've been married 5 times, and people think that's some bizarre thing. Yet I've got buddies who refuse to get married and have sex with 15 people a week. I'm like, which is better? At least I was trying." Melissa Lee Gatlin. Melissa was Billy Bob's first wife. They were married in 1978 and had a daughter named Amanda on June 30th, 1979. There isn't much public information about the relationship, but there are details on how it tore his daughter apart. Amanda and Billy Bob became estranged as she grew up with her mother. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2008 for the death of her friend's 1-year-old daughter and released in 2020. Tony Lawrence. Tony and Billy Bob were married from 1986 to 88. They didn't have children, and there isn't much info about them either. Tony still could see into his heart in what little time they were together. She later said, quote, "He's really talented, that's obvious now, but he's very troubled." Cinda Williams. Cinda was an actress and producer known for films like 1990's Mo Better Blues, 1992's One False Move, and 2021's Mad as Hell. She became a major name before she even met Billy Bob. Cinda said they were just friends and should never have been married. She later married Roderick Plummer in 2001, and they have a child and a happy family. Pietra Dawn Cherniak. Pietra is a Playboy model who married Billy Bob in 1993. They had 2 children, William, born in 1993, and Harry, born in 94. Pietra filed for divorce due to irreconcilable differences in April of 1997. She also asked for a restraining order against her ex-husband, claiming he had been regularly physically abusive to her in the last few months, even in front of the children. Billy Bob denied the charges. He said he never did anything he was being accused of, and they should focus on caring for the children. Falling in love with Angelina. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob fell in love on the set of 1999's Pushing Tin. He was engaged to Laura Dern at the time. She was allegedly shocked to hear when he broke off the engagement to be with Angelina. She said, quote, "I left our home to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married, and I've never heard from him again." Billy later addressed the situation in a 2001 interview. He basically said he had to follow his heart, which he almost always does anyway. In his own words, quote, "Others may say that you left our girl and married someone else, but it made me happy and someone else happy. I'm sorry it caused pain." They were married from 2000 to 2003. That's surprisingly the same amount of time Angelina was married to Brad Pitt. She was Billy Bob Thornton's 5th wife. Angelina seemed to be taking their unique situation seriously in the beginning. She said,
"We kind of signed our life away to each other, and legally and with blood."
Despite that powerful language, the bond didn't last long. The couple broke up only months after adopting a child from Cambodia. Angelina then revealed she intended to adopt the child as a single parent. Addressing the controversies. Billy Bob has never been known for being normal. He can be a strange and unpredictable actor. The media has plenty of material when trying to make interesting stories out of his life. That's especially true with his relationships. He admits that he and Angelina had a lot of fun together. Some of the things they did together went beyond strange. They were a bit morbid, such as picking out hers and his grave plots. What about the necklaces they wore that allegedly contained vials of each other's blood? He said it was a simple way to remember each other when they were apart. But they weren't wearing buckets of blood around all the time like the media portrayed it.
I think a lot of it is, some of the stuff they say has some sort of basis in fact, but it's usually embellished or, taken the wrong way or whatever. But I think a lot of the stuff that we do is really not that big a deal, but it just sounds good, to talk about. So I mean, this whole thing about vials of blood, they're not actually vials, they're little clear, what the hell do you call them? The lockets, like you put a picture in. And, you know, we poke our finger and put a drop of blood in it. It's just a symbolic thing, you know.
How they see each other today. Not all of Billy Bob's divorces were a mutual, kind split. That's probably why he decided to hide in a recording studio for a while after most of them. That's not the case with Angelina. Billy Bob has only kind words about their brief time together. He says, quote, "I look at that time as a great time. Angie is still a friend of mine, and she's a great person, and she's done so much." He also respects how her career is going. He strongly believes in accepting only the roles you believe in, which is why he's moved away from films. Streaming TV has the resources to tell the kinds of stories he used to love in independent films. Angelina has taken a similar direction as she's moved from acting to directing and producing. He says, quote, "The movies she makes are still things that are important to her. Whether they succeed or fail, she still does what she believes in, and I'll always respect her for that." Why he divorced Angelina Jolie. Angelina seems to be one of Billy Bob's happiest relationships, if not his longest. They had fun together and seemed happy when they were in public. What tore them apart? One part of the equation was that Billy Bob never felt good enough for her. It's an understandable feeling when you're married to such a major star. The major reason, though, was something else. Billy Bob said they had, quote, different lifestyles. She was a global traveler. He was almost agoraphobic, preferring to stay at home. She wanted to go to big events and talk to everyone. He's a surprisingly shy man who'd hide in the corner. They both ended up needing to find someone they were more compatible with. Billy Bob's current wife. Billy Bob said he'd swear off marriage after Angelina, but that didn't last long. He met Connie Angland on the set of 2003's Bad Santa. They were married in a private ceremony at his LA home in 2014 after 11 years of dating. They have a daughter together named Bella. Even GQ magazine noticed that Connie is more Billy Bob's speed. She's a fellow homebody, so they don't have to force each other to go anywhere. Bella is currently being homeschooled. That gives him plenty of time to spend with her when he comes home from work. He seems very happy with his new family.
And I've never trusted happiness since. I have to really force myself to think that things are going to be okay in terms of worrying about my family or myself or my friends, whatever. Yeah, I've never been the same since my brother died.
This profound loss seems to have instilled in Thornton a deep-seated melancholy that permeates his work and personal life. He explains.
There's a melancholy in me that never goes away. I'm 50% happy and 50% sad at any given moment.
Thornton's approach to grief is not about overcoming it, but rather embracing it as a part of his identity.
And the only advice I can give people for when you lose someone like that is you won't ever get over it. And the more you know that and embrace it, the better off you are. I don't want to forget my brother.
This perspective offers a raw, honest look at how loss can shape a person's entire worldview and creative process. Despite his success in Hollywood, Thornton's true passion has always been music. However, his fame as an actor often overshadows his musical endeavors, leading to frustration and misunderstandings. This tension came to a head during a now infamous interview about his band, the Boxmasters. When asked about the band's formation, Thornton responded cryptically.
I don't know what you're talking about.
How so?
I don't know what you mean by that.
The interview quickly spiraled into an uncomfortable exchange, with Thornton seemingly resistant to any questions about his acting career. He later explained his behavior.
And all I was saying was, I'll talk about whatever you want. I don't care. I don't mind talking about movies. All I said was, can you do me a favor, because it says on your teleprompter there that you're going to introduce us as Academy Award-winning actors here with his band. And I said, would you show some props to my guys here and just introduce us as the band, and then let's talk about that. That's all I said.
Sure.
This incident highlights Thornton's struggle with his dual identity as an actor and musician, and his desire to be taken seriously in both fields. He further elaborated on his reaction.
And so instead of, walking off or storming out or saying something about that, I just decided, well, you know what? I'll just answer your questions with other answers.
Yeah, I can fuck with you too then.
Despite these challenges, Thornton's passion for music remains unwavering. When discussing the Boxmasters sound, he explains.
It's a mixture of the British invasion with hillbilly music, something that I know more about than, say, a band who's 20 years old, that you wouldn't say that to, yeah. I grew up as pretty much a music historian, so, yeah. Yeah, cosmic cowboy music.
The Boxmaster's prolific output is a testament to Thornton's dedication to his music career.
That's the ones that have been released.
Yeah,
we've
we've got a lot
recorded
more
about
than
5.
There's more.
Thornton's personal life has also been a subject of public fascination, particularly his high-profile marriage to Angelina Jolie. Despite their divorce, Thornton maintains a positive relationship with his ex-wife.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
nice.
Yeah, we've always been friends. See, in the press, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes if you get a divorce, everyone assumes that it was nasty, and it's just not always.
This maturity and ability to maintain friendships, even after relationships end, speaks to Thornton's complex character. He further elaborates on his relationship with Jolie.
And no, Angie and I are great friends. We always have been, and we talk on a pretty regular basis. And
Thornton's candid nature extends to all aspects of his life, including his intimate relationships. In a particularly memorable interview alongside Jolie, he shocked reporters with his unfiltered honesty.
Well, you want me to be honest with you? We f***ed in the car on the way here. Yeah.
And it was the most exciting thing.
Yeah, every time it is.
This raw honesty, while sometimes shocking, is a hallmark of Thornton's public persona. It's this same openness that allows him to speak so candidly about his grief and artistic process. Thornton's approach to his craft, whether in acting or music, is deeply influenced by his life experiences. He sees his art as a way to honor those he's lost.
And as an artist, that's where a lot of your stuff comes from. You keep honoring those people forever by singing that song or writing that movie or doing that part in the movie or writing a book or whatever it is that has a sadness and a melancholy and a fear in it. Those are the things that keep them alive.
This perspective offers insight into how Thornton channels his personal experiences into his creative output, creating work that resonates with deep emotional authenticity. Thornton's journey in the entertainment industry has been marked by both triumphs and challenges. His first breakthrough in Hollywood came in an unexpected way.
I was very excited because I had one scene where I played a pawn shop owner on Matlock.
Wow.
And I was so excited because when I was a kid, I used to listen to Andy Griffith's comedy records where he would do spoofs of like Cinderella and Romeo and Juliet and all that stuff. And that was the first time I thought, hey, that'd be fun to do that, you know?
This anecdote reveals Thornton's early influences and the circuitous path his career has taken. It also highlights the reverence he held for industry veterans like Andy Griffith, which makes his later interactions with them all the more poignant.
And he kind of looked at me funny and just walked away. I guess he was having a bad day. And then you cut to years later, and he called me when I was nominated the first time for an Academy Award, and he was very nice to me.
These experiences underscore the unpredictable nature of Hollywood relationships and the long arc of Thornton's career. Throughout his life, Thornton has grappled with the public's perception of him and his work. His resistance to being pigeonholed as just an actor or just a musician has led to moments of tension, as evidenced in the infamous interview. However, he maintains that his reaction was misunderstood.
Well, no,
feel respected.
what was weird about it was that I was vilified and not this cat. That's what I didn't understand. It's like, because, you know, the way they write about that incident, which is, first of all, I couldn't believe it was news. And the second thing is that supposedly I went on a rant and I barely was audible.
This incident highlights the challenges Thornton faces in maintaining control over his public image while staying true to himself and his artistic vision. Billy Bob Thornton's emotional journey through loss, fame, and artistic expression offers a raw and unfiltered look at the man behind the celebrity. His story reminds us that even those who seem to have it all can struggle with deep-seated pain and the quest for authentic self-expression. As we watch Thornton navigate these complex emotions, from the crushing grief of losing his brother to the passionate pursuit of his music career, from the challenges of maintaining relationships in the public eye to the struggle for artistic recognition, we're left with a deeper appreciation for the vulnerability that lies at the heart of true artistry. Thornton's unflinching honesty, whether discussing his personal life or his creative process, serves as a testament to the power of embracing one's whole self, scars and all. In doing so, he not only honors those he's lost, but also creates a legacy of authentic, emotionally resonant art that will continue to touch audiences for years to come.
Billy Bob, A Wild Ride.
We met at a time when I needed somebody to meet me because I was going through kind of a lost weekend, you know what I mean? And
I spent like 2 decades in a lost weekend. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, yes.
Well, her sister, Carrie, was a makeup artist on the show, on Bad Santa, and she said, my sister's going to visit, and I got a feeling that you're really going to like her. And sure enough, I did. And we were together within probably a couple of months, maybe.
Billy Bob Thornton was born August 4th, 1955, in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Raised in a modest rural environment, Thornton's family faced financial struggles. His father, a school teacher and basketball coach, instilled discipline, while his mother, a psychic, inspired his creative side. As a child, he found solace in writing and music, pursuits that would later define his multifaceted career. After a brief stint at Henderson State University, Thornton set his sights on Los Angeles in the late 70s. Success didn't come easily. For years, he worked various odd jobs, including as a waiter and telemarketer, while pursuing acting roles. He lived hand to mouth and faced rejection after rejection. However, his persistence began to pay off when he landed small roles in television and film in the late 80s and early 90s. His big break came in 1996 with Sling Blade. Not only did he write and direct the film, but he also gave a mesmerizing performance as Carl Childers, a mentally challenged man with a dark past. The film earned Thornton an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay and a nomination for Best Actor, catapulting him into Hollywood's A-list. His gritty performances in subsequent films like A Simple Plan, Monsters Ball, and The Man Who Wasn't There, as well as the dark comedy Bad Santa, cemented his reputation as a unique and talented artist. While Thornton's professional life blossomed, his personal life, particularly his relationships, became a constant topic of tabloid fascination. His marriages, divorces, and controversial romances were often as dramatic and compelling as the roles he played on screen. He's been married 6 times, and several of those relationships have sparked public interest. His first 3 marriages were relatively low profile. His early unions to Melissa Lee Gatlin, Tony Lawrence, and Cinda Williams ended quietly, though they set a pattern of short-lived relationships. In 1993, he married his 4th wife, model Pietra Dawn Cherniak. Together, they had 2 sons, but the marriage was tumultuous and ended in divorce in 1997. Cherniak later alleged that Thornton had been physically and emotionally abusive during the relationship. These claims attracted considerable media attention and cast a shadow over Thornton's personal life, though he has consistently avoided addressing the accusations in public. One of the most notable chapters in his romantic history is his relationship with actress Laura Dern. The two began dating in the late 1990s and were even engaged, with Dern frequently referring to Thornton as her soulmate. But the relationship ended abruptly and controversially. While still engaged to Dern, Thornton met actress Angelina Jolie on the set of the 1999 film Pushing Tin. The chemistry between the two was immediate and undeniable. In May 2000, Thornton shocked Hollywood by marrying Jolie in Las Vegas, seemingly out of nowhere. The abrupt turn of events devastated Dern. Years later, she reflected on the experience, saying, quote, "I left our home to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married, and I never heard from him again." This revelation painted Thornton as a man who could be impulsive and inconsiderate in matters of love, earning him significant public backlash. To this day, the circumstances surrounding his split from Dern remain one of the most infamous controversies of his love life. Thornton's relationship with Angelina Jolie remains the most widely discussed and scrutinized chapter of his romantic life. Jolie, already a rising star and Hollywood rebel, found a kindred spirit in Thornton's eccentric and unapologetically rebellious nature. Their union was unconventional, intense, and made headlines for its peculiar quirks. Perhaps the most talked about detail was the couple's decision to wear vials of each other's blood around their necks. While Thornton later downplayed the story, claiming the vials were merely symbolic and much less dramatic than reported, the public perception painted them as Hollywood's wildest couple. The two were also known for their passionate public displays of affection, often gushing about each other during interviews. Jolie called Thornton her greatest love and spoke openly about their deeply emotional bond. However, cracks soon began to appear. By 2002, Thornton's discomfort with the intense media attention and Jolie's growing humanitarian commitments had driven a wedge between them. In interviews following their split in 2003, Thornton admitted that he felt overwhelmed by Jolie's lifestyle and their differences. Quote, "I never felt good enough for her," he confessed, acknowledging that the relationship fell apart because he struggled to adapt to her world. Jolie and Thornton's marriage, though short-lived, remains iconic due to its sheer intensity and the way it captured public fascination. Their divorce marked the end of an era for Thornton, who seemed weary of the spotlight that came with such high-profile romances. Following his divorce from Jolie, he became far more private about his romantic life. He dated other women, but he avoided the kind of public exposure that had accompanied his previous relationships. This period marked a shift in Thornton's personal outlook. The media's relentless coverage of his love life had taken its toll, and he began to prioritize a quieter existence. During this time, Thornton focused on music, releasing several albums with his band, the Boxmasters. Music provided him with a creative outlet and a degree of escape from Hollywood's relentless scrutiny. It was during this phase that he met Connie Anglin, a puppeteer and special effects artist. He began dating Connie in 2003, shortly after his split from Jolie. Unlike his previous partners, Anglin was not a celebrity, which gave Thornton the sense of normalcy and privacy he craved. The couple welcomed a daughter, Bella, in 2004. For years, he expressed reluctance to marry again, stating that he felt marriage had not worked for him in the past. After over a decade of companionship, the two married in a private ceremony in 2014. The wedding was a quiet affair, attended only by close friends and families. In interviews, Thornton has spoken glowingly about Anglin and the impact she's had on his life. He credits her with providing stability and grounding him after years of personal and professional chaos. Unlike his previous marriages, which were often tumultuous and marred by public scrutiny, Thornton's relationship with Anglin has been characterized by mutual respect, understanding, and a shared desire for privacy. Thornton has often described Anglin as his anchor. In stark contrast to the eccentricities of his relationship with Jolie, his bond with Anglin appears rooted in a deep sense of calm and security. He's acknowledged that he no longer feels the need to prove anything to anyone, and much of that shift is due to Anglin's influence. At 68 years old, Thornton's perspective on relationships has evolved significantly. He's admitted that many of his past romances failed because he struggled with intimacy, communication, and adapting to his partner's lifestyles. His impulsive nature and inability to navigate the pressures of fame contributed to the downfall of several marriages. His relationship with Angelina Jolie, in particular, taught him difficult lessons about love, fame, and self-worth. While he maintains fondness and respect for Jolie, he's admitted he was never fully prepared for the kind of life she envisioned. In Connie Anglin, Thornton has found a partner who accepts him as he is, a man who thrives creatively but desires peace in his personal life. He has described his marriage to Anglin as, quote, easy, a word he rarely used to describe his earlier relationships. For Thornton, this relationship represents a turning point, one where love is no longer defined by public declarations or eccentric gestures, but by quiet companionship and mutual support. Billy Bob's life has been a whirlwind of artistic success, personal struggles, and highly publicized relationships. While his early marriages and controversial split with Laura Dern painted him as impulsive and unreliable in love, his marriage to Angelina Jolie turned him into a tabloid sensation. His later years, though, have been marked by introspection and a desire for privacy. A pattern emerges.
I've had several marriages.
Yes, but did you not have a bachelor party for each one of the marriages?
It was kind of all a bachelor party. I had a bachelor party from like 1974 till about 2 weeks ago.
Billy Bob Thornton's journey through love and marriage began in 1978 when he tied the knot with his first wife, Melissa Lee Gatlin. This union, like many of Thornton's subsequent marriages, was short-lived, only lasting 2 years. The couple welcomed a daughter, Amanda, but their relationship ultimately ended in divorce in 1980. Gatlin cited incompatibility and adultery on his part in the divorce petition, setting a precedent for Thornton's tumultuous love life. This early experience with marriage and fatherhood shaped Thornton's approach to relationships for years to come. Following his first marriage, he embarked on a series of relationships that seemed to follow a similar pattern. In 1986, he married actress Toni Lawrence, but their union was even shorter than his first, ending in separation after just 1 year and divorce in 1988. Lawrence later described Thornton as really talented but very troubled, hinting at the complexities that would come to define his romantic entanglements. This period coincided with Thornton's early struggles in Hollywood, as he tried to establish himself as an actor and filmmaker. The 1990s saw Thornton continuing his pattern of brief marriages. In 1990, he wed actress Cinda Williams, whom he had cast in his writing debut, One False Move. This marriage lasted until 1992, with Thornton later reflecting, "We were just friends. We had no business being married." It seemed that Thornton was struggling to find the right balance between his personal life and his burgeoning career in Hollywood. The early 90s marked a turning point in his career, with critically acclaimed performances in films like Sling Blade, which he also wrote and directed. But this success seemed to come at the cost of stability in his personal life. In 1993, Thornton married for the fourth time, this time to Playboy model Pietra Dawn Cherniak. This marriage lasted longer than his previous ones, enduring until 1997, and resulted in the birth of 2 sons. However, the end of the relationship was particularly acrimonious, with Cherniak accusing Thornton of spousal abuse, sometimes allegedly in front of their children. These allegations cast a shadow over Thornton's public image and highlighted the tumultuous nature of his personal life. The divorce proceedings were highly publicized, further complicating Thornton's already complex romantic history. The Angelina Jolie era.
So this movie is a lot of action, a lot of romance, a lot of sex appeal. What's the most exciting thing you guys have ever done in a car individually or together?
I think it was today. My favorite one in a car was today, just before we got here. What is this, MTV? You want me to be honest with you? We in the car on the way here.
And it was the most exciting thing.
Yeah, every time it is.
Perhaps the most famous chapter in his romantic history began in 2000 when he married actress Angelina Jolie. This union captured the public's imagination like none of his previous relationships had. Thornton and Jolie had met on the set of Pushing Tin in 1999, and their whirlwind romance quickly became the talk of Hollywood. Their relationship was notable not just for its intensity, but also for the controversy surrounding its beginning, as Thornton was reportedly engaged to actress Laura Dern when he began seeing Jolie. The marriage was notable not only for the couple's 20-year age difference, but also for their eccentric displays of affection. One of the most infamous aspects of the relationship was the rumor that they wore vials of each other's blood around their necks. Thornton later clarified that these were actually small lockets containing just a single drop of blood, but the image had already captured the public's imagination. The couple's red carpet appearances and public declarations of love became regular fodder for tabloids and entertainment news. Despite the intensity of the relationship, Thornton and Jolie's marriage was not destined to last. They separated in 2002 and finalized their divorce in 2003. In later interviews, Thornton reflected on the relationship with a mix of fondness and regret. He noted that their different lifestyles played a significant role in their split, describing Jolie's as a global lifestyle and his as an agoraphobic lifestyle. This period of his career and life was marked by intense media scrutiny, which seemed to take a toll on both. The aftermath of his marriage to Jolie seemed to mark a turning point for Thornton. In interviews, he began to express a more cautious attitude towards marriage, suggesting he might never tie the knot again. He told HuffPost Live in 2014, quote, "Maybe there's something about the official nature of it. Maybe it's once there's a paper signed or a door seems closed, then I turn into more of a caged lion or something." Finding stability. Just when it seemed that Billy Bob Thornton had sworn off marriage for good, life had other plans. In 2003, shortly after his divorce from Jolie, Thornton began a relationship with makeup effects crew member Connie Angland. This relationship marked a significant departure from Thornton's previous pattern of whirlwind romances and short-lived marriages. The beginning of their relationship coincided with a quieter period in Thornton's career as he took on more character-driven roles in indie films and television. Thornton and Angland met on the set of Bad Santa, where Angland was working behind the scenes. Unlike his previous relationships, which had often been with high-profile actresses, Angland's work in the film industry was decidedly low-key. This change of pace seemed to suit Thornton, who had previously expressed discomfort with the celebrity lifestyle. Their shared background in the film industry provided a common ground, but without the intense spotlight that had accompanied Thornton's previous relationships. The couple welcomed a daughter, Bella, in 2004, adding to Thornton's growing family. Despite the stability of the relationship, Thornton remained hesitant about marriage. In a 2008 interview with Maxim, he explained his reluctance, saying, quote, "I told Connie I didn't want to put her through that. We do fine. We've been together for 4 years now. We have a child together. If we get married, then the press will start calling her number 6. This hesitation reflected Thornton's wariness of the institution of marriage, given his past experiences. However, after more than a decade together, the two surprised everyone by tying the knot in a private ceremony at their LA home, October 22, 2014. The wedding was kept so quiet, it wasn't until February of the following year that the public learned of their nuptials. Thornton later revealed on The Late Late Show with James Corden that they had deliberately kept the wedding low-key to avoid paparazzi and press attention. The decision to marry, according to Thornton, was primarily for their daughter Bella's benefit. He explained, quote, "We did it for her, really, because after a while it was like, why aren't mommy and daddy married after 12 years? This thoughtful approach to their relationship and family life seemed to indicate a new maturity in Thornton's approach to love and commitment. A perfect match.
Connie, my wife, she really wanted us to have that because it keeps me at home. Also, I don't have to drive all the way to the Sunset Marquee when she kicks me out. I can just, go down the hill to the recording.
What sets Thornton's relationship with Anglin apart from his previous marriages? According to those close to the couple, it's their shared lifestyle and compatible personalities. In a 2016 GQ profile, it was noted that, quote, "Connie is far more his speed. She's a homebody just like him, and Bella is homeschooled. So when Billy's not working, he gets to be at the house with them." This compatibility extends to their professional lives as well. While Anglin has stepped back from her work in the film industry, her background gives her an understanding of Thornton's career that his previous partners may not have had. Thornton has spoken about trying to strike a balance between his artistic passions and his family life, saying, quote, "I mean, if you can do one each year, I can make a record and go on tour. If I can make one movie and one TV thing, then that seems pretty good, And I've got kids to take care of, so, why not?" Billy Bob hates cupcake wars. This one might seem like it's coming straight out of left field, but as it turns out, Billy Bob Thornton absolutely detests Food Network's reality-based TV show Cupcake Wars. It's a baking competition show where contestants are judged by their cupcake-making abilities. Apparently, Billy Bob has been quite outspoken about his hatred for the show. In 2014, while appearing on an episode of Oprah's Masterclass, Thornton expressed his dismay at why there needed to be a show about cupcakes in the first place. He then went on to complain about why then said shows had to be a competition. He suggested anyone who had ever been in an actual war must take offense to the show's lax use of the word, before adding that such reality programs were likely making society meaner. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. He hates the faces actors make on movie posters. In 2016, Billy Bob was a guest on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. During his interview, he opened up about one of his personal pet peeves by describing what he refers to as actor movie poster face. Thornton explained there are really only a couple faces actors ever make when posing for film promotional posters. He even admitted to having made the face in question himself at one point before he, quote, "caught on." After demonstrating the facial expression, he described it to Fallon as looking far off into the distance with one's mouth gaping open. Thornton complained about a time when he was posing for a Bad Santa photo op, where he was in character as the titular troublemaking lead. He explained he had a sack of presents over his shoulder and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, but the studio forced him to swap out the cigarette for a toothpick to be more politically correct. Thornton, however, thought this swap out was ridiculous, since the whole point of Bad Santa was that he was rough around the edges and had a whole slew of nasty habits and vices. So you might as well add censorship to the things Billy Bob hates as well. The time Thornton canceled a Canadian tour after insulting a crowd. While touring Canada in 2009 with his band The Boxmasters, Thornton got irate with the audience and described them as mashed potatoes without gravy. Just days later, Billy Bob canceled the remaining dates of the tour after receiving pushback for his insulting comments. The controversy began a week earlier when Thornton lashed out against a radio show host named John Gomeshi with Canada's CBC Radio on the program Studio Q. Gomeshi had evidently been warned before the interview not to mention Billy Bob's acting career, but when he introduced him, he referred to him as an Oscar-winning screenwriter, actor, and director. That's when things got awkward, and for the remainder of the interview, Thornton answered the majority of questions with, "I don't know," or "I don't know what you're talking about." Thornton then decided to take a jab at his Canadian fans by saying Canadian audiences seemed to be too reserved. He explained that in other places, people tend to throw things and get excited at his shows, but in Canada, they, quote, just sit there. After Ghomeshi wrapped up the interview, he introduced the Boxmasters, who were planning on playing an instrumental version of one of their songs. Billy Bob, still seemingly peeved, declined to join in the performance. Not long after that interview, the Boxmasters played a show in Toronto where they were widely booed. One fan could even be heard shouting, "Here comes the gravy," referencing Billy Bob's earlier dig on the radio show. After playing 2 more shows in Montreal, Quebec, and London, Ontario, in which the band was subjected to similar treatment, Thornton announced they would forego playing any more shows in Canada due to some kind of mysterious illness. Billy Bob's hatred of antiques. While filming 2003's Love Actually, in which Thornton had a minor role as the President of the United States, it came out he had a crippling phobia of antiques. While filming scenes with Martine McCutcheon and Hugh Grant, he reportedly became very uncomfortable when he was forced to be around items that were 500 years old. In a later interview with the New York Times, he clarified it wasn't all antiques that rubbed him the wrong way. Instead, it was, as he described, French, English, and Scottish old mildewy stuff, old dusty heavy drapes, and big tables with lions' heads carved in them, and other items that were too big to be functional that gave him the creeps. He doesn't think talent is necessary to be an actor. Thornton believes that instead of talent, actors simply need to think of significant moments from their past and channel the emotions they felt in those moments while delivering their performance. Of course, it can be argued believably adopting past emotions into a role requires talent in and of itself. Even so, it's undeniable Billy Bob has had a life full of emotional highs and lows. For one thing, he's gone through more than one painful divorce, most famously with actress Angelina Jolie. Beyond that, Thornton has frequently talked about his time cleaning up after fatal accidents when he worked for the highway department before becoming an actor. Arguably more heart-pulling was when he had to process the tangled web of emotions that came with his estranged daughter being sentenced to 20 years in prison for aggravated manslaughter, or the time when his brother suddenly died from a rare heart condition. If that wasn't enough, Billy Bob has also been surprisingly forthcoming about the ways his father physically and emotionally abused him as a child. And although the man put him through the ringer for many years, Thornton had a difficult time dealing with the complex emotions that came flooding in when his dad lost his battle with cancer. So yes, Billy Bob certainly does have a vast well of emotional baggage to pull from, but the fact that he thinks talent is not essential to be an actor is pretty bizarre. Origin of the story. Sling Blade originated from a short film titled Some Folks Call It a Sling Blade, which Billy Bob Thornton wrote, directed, and starred in. The short film served as the foundation for the feature-length version that would follow. Thornton's inspiration for the story came from observing a man speaking in a distinctive dialect at a fast food restaurant. Intrigued by the man's mannerisms and speech patterns, Thornton began developing the character of Carl Childers. The short film received critical acclaim and won the Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film in 1995. This success laid the groundwork for expanding the story into a full-length feature. Independent production. Sling Blade was produced independently on a modest budget of around $1 million, a relatively small amount for feature film production. Despite its limited resources, Thornton was determined to bring his vision to life and enlisted the help of a dedicated team of filmmakers and actors. The film was shot in just 24 days, requiring careful planning and efficient execution to stay within budget and schedule constraints. Thornton's hands-on approach as a writer, director, and lead actor contributed to the film's independent spirit and creative integrity. Billy Bob Thornton's dedication. Billy Bob's dedication to Sling Blade extended beyond his role as writer and director. He also played Carl Childers. He immersed himself in the role, undergoing a physical transformation to better embody Carl's appearance and demeanor. He lost weight and adopted a distinctive Southern accent, meticulously crafting Carl's speech patterns and mannerisms. Thornton's commitment to the character was evident in his nuanced performance, which earned widespread acclaim and showcased his skills as an actor. Character inspiration. As we mentioned, he drew inspiration from a chance encounter with a man speaking in a distinctive dialect at a fast food restaurant. This encounter influenced not only Carl's unique voice, but also his complex personality and worldview. Though Billy Bob also later admitted that the character was a combination of two people he had met.
This character is based on two different ones sort of morphed together. One was black, one was white. The look and the walk and the mannerisms came from the black one. The situation came from the white one. He was literally fed like a dog out back of his house. And the guy actually...
Impact of the short film. The short film version of Sling Blade garnered significant attention and critical acclaim. It won the Academy Award for Best Live Action Short in 1995, serving as a testament to Billy Bob Thornton's talent as a filmmaker and storyteller. It propelled his career forward, laying the groundwork for expanding the story into a feature-length film. John Ritter's dramatic turn. John Ritter's portrayal of Vaughn Cunningham, a gay man who befriends Carl Childers, marked a departure from his usual comedic roles and showcased a versatility as an actor. Known primarily for his comedic talents, Ritter delivered a poignant and heartfelt performance in Sling Blade, earning praise from critics and audiences. His portrayal of Vaughn added depth to the film's narrative and provided a nuanced exploration of friendship and acceptance. Ritter's willingness to take on a dramatic role in Sling Blade demonstrated his range as an actor and contributed to the film's overall impact. Collaboration with Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall's involvement in Sling Blade extended beyond his role as an actor. He also served as an executive producer of the film. His reputation as a highly respected and accomplished actor lent credibility to the project and helped attract attention to the film. His collaboration with Billy Bob Thornton added depth and insight to the production, and Duvall's portrayal of Carl's father provided a poignant and emotionally resonant performance. Impromptu casting. The casting of Dwight Yoakam, a country music star, as the abusive boyfriend Doyle Hargraves was a serendipitous moment in the production of Sling Blade. Yoakam's audition impressed Billy Bob Thornton, who recognized Yoakam's natural talent and ability to inhabit the role of Doyle with authenticity and intensity. Thornton's decision to cast Yoakam on the spot demonstrated his instinct for recognizing raw talent and his willingness to take risks in casting decisions. Yoakam's performance in Sling Blade received acclaim from critics and audiences alike. Realistic setting. The decision to shoot Sling Blade on location in Benton, Arkansas, added to the film's authenticity and sense of realism. Many of the locations featured in the movie, like the mental health facility where Carl is institutionalized, were real places in the area. Filming on location allowed the cast and crew to immerse themselves in the world of the story and capture the unique atmosphere of the southern setting. Billy Bob's choice to shoot on location in Benton contributed to the film's overall sense of place. In an interview with Conan O'Brien, Billy Bob talked about getting his character's haircut for the movie. They went to a very authentic, old-school Arkansas barbershop.
We went in the only barber shop in the town we were shooting in, and the barber was asleep. There was one chair, and he was asleep. And just to show you how old-fashioned the barbershop was, the ends of the chair arms were ashtrays, and he had a cigarette burning in each one of them.
Minimalist score. The score of Sling Blade, composed by Daniel Lanois, was crafted with a minimalist approach that perfectly complemented the film's somber and introspective tone. Lanois, known for his work with artists like U2 and Bob Dylan, opted for sparse instrumentation and atmospheric textures to underscore the emotional depth of the story. Critical acclaim. Upon its release, Sling Blade received widespread critical acclaim, with particular praise directed towards Billy Bob Thornton's performance and skillful direction. His portrayal of Carl was hailed as a masterful and transformative performance. The film's screenplay, adapted from the original short film, was also celebrated for its depth and authenticity. The Academy Award win for Best Adapted Screenplay further solidified the film's critical acclaim and cemented its place in cinematic history. Influence on pop culture. Since its release, Sling Blade has left an indelible mark on popular culture, with its characters, dialogue, and iconic moments becoming ingrained in the collective consciousness. The character of Carl, with his distinctive speech patterns and unique worldview, has been parodied and referenced in various media, from TV shows to comedy sketches. And quotes from the film, such as Carl's famous line, "I reckon," have become cultural touchstones. Billy Bob's trajectory and his admission. His journey to stardom was anything but conventional. It wasn't until his 40s that he achieved widespread recognition with his breakout role in Sling Blade. Before that, he had been working as an actor, writer, and musician. Throughout the 80s and 90s, he appeared in a variety of film and TV projects, often in supporting roles. His ascent to fame was gradual, with roles in films like One False Move and Tombstone, and he certainly started off with humble beginnings. It wasn't until Thornton wrote, directed, and starred in Some Folks Call It a Sling Blade that his career trajectory changed dramatically. But in a candid interview with People magazine, Thornton reflected on his late-blooming success. He said, quote, "I don't think I was equipped in my early 20s to handle that, because I had a history in my late teens, early 20s, of certain chemical refreshments and things like that. I don't know if I would have made it through. I'm happy that things unfolded in a way that I didn't force, that they just happened. I still appreciate that." Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite role from Billy Bob Thornton? Let us know in the comments section below.